Welcome again to Rewa.com TV. I'm Alex Lush.
And I'm Charlie Gunningham. Have you thought of buying an investment property? This month's news section could be right for you. That's coming up shortly.
And we're here in the City of Stirling for our suburb section, particularly taking a scout around Innaloo.
And are they the unsung heroes of the property world? We'll find out when we talk to some of Perth's property managers.
First this month, we're talking investment properties like these ones here in East Perth. Is it a good time to get into the market? And if so, how do you go about it? Mark Hay runs his own sales and management agency specialising in investment property in Perth, while Damian Collins is founder of Momentum Wealth, a full-service property group helping people build their wealth through property. So if anyone has their fingers on the pulse, it's these two. Mark, if I can start with you, is it a good time to be buying an investment property?
It's a great time to be investing now. My interpretation of the market is we're at the bottom or just reached the bottom. It is very much a buyer's market out there with over 18,000 listings, but any time is a good time to start your investment.
So what sort of growth are you expecting this year?
It's going to be limited in the next few years as we come out of this. It's going to be a bit sticky, but within a couple of years it'll gather momentum. It'll never go back to where it was in that boom period for some time yet, but all the fundamentals, especially pushed by the resource sector, should push good capital growth.
Is there an ultimate investment property?
One would like to think there's the ultimate, but really it comes down to the person's personal situation, i.e. a 20-year-old investor as opposed to dinks, double income, no kids, as opposed to somebody who's heading to retirement. There's so many variances, so to find the ideal blend between capital growth, rental return and safety, we need to sit down with the investor face to face and work out what their investment profile actually is.
So what sort of return am I going to get on an average property?
Yes, average at the moment would be on a residential investment. If you're putting in anywhere from $250,000 to say $750,000, you'd expect in round terms a 5% return on your money. Yes.
Damian, coming to you, are there mistakes that people make when they're buying investment properties?
Yeah, I do see a lot of mistakes, and I would say the biggest mistake people make is not doing enough research. People think you can just go out and buy any investment property, but you find over time that some properties outperform by just that 1 or 2% more per annum, but that makes hundreds of thousands of dollars difference in the long run.
So what would your best advice be to a potential investor?
Look, buying an investment property, first thing you've got to find is a high growth city, and we're in a great spot in Perth. We've got minerals boom, Mark II coming, a lot of population growth. So that's the first step. Next thing is to find the best locations within that city. And that would generally be areas that are in high demand but have limited supply. And from there, narrow it down to the individual property, doing on the research, who are the neighbours, the quality of the property, the likely rental yield. And from there, place an offer, put your best foot forward and try to get it the best possible price.
The benefits of investing in property are well recognised, and according to those experts on the ground, anyone can create wealth through property investment if they have the know-how. So how much of Perth's property is owned by investors?
Well, the private rental market, which is where the investors operate, represents 1 in 5 houses in Western Australia, so it is a substantial part of the housing market. It's effectively the third force or the biggest part of the market behind home ownership and home purchase. And I guess, yeah, who invests in those parts of the market I think is interesting. Traditionally it used to be mum and dad investors. They represented about 75% of the market probably 10 years ago, but in more recent times we've seen a lot more professional investors coming into the market and building up substantial portfolios of investment property.
With the WA economy in relatively good shape, and with the state continuing to record the fastest population growth rate at 2.3%, this should ensure that the housing market in Perth remains stable and the rental demand remains firm. So it could be just the time to invest.
We operate in the northern suburbs and the market is strong at the moment for both renters and for landlords. There is quite a strong demand out there from the renters, but there's also a lot of properties coming onto the market. So there's a lot of choice, but also the better properties are getting rented out quicker.
We're in the city and surrounding suburbs, and we're doing really well. Leasing's going gangbusters at the moment. We're finding plenty of corporates that are taking up tenancies, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per week. Is really strong at the moment.
We're based in Victoria Park, The bulk of our rental properties are Victoria Park, East Victoria Park, Como, South Perth and surrounding suburbs. We are finding there's good turnover in the rental market. Average vacancy for us is around 2 weeks at a maximum. We are finding that corporate leases are coming back into play, which has proved very good.
Well, it's proving to be. I mean, rents are on the up and up, so surely you know, that's a good sign. And the quality of tenants are there in the city as well.
It's a great time to be a landlord. What we have is a lot of demand, however people are still looking for value for money, so they need to make sure that they have regular maintenance on the properties and also make sure that they're presented well during the viewings.
I think provided the interest rates stay at a sort of constant, it's a good time for investors. There's certainly more tenants floating around than what there was sort of towards the latter part of last year.
There's not a push on prices at the moment, however people are still looking for value for money and will shop around. So there's still a good balance there for the tenant to make sure that they're getting what they're paying for.
I think it's like everything, costs are rising no matter where you are. For landlords and tenants, I think there's certainly a high expectation level from tenants now and what they are looking for. And as the market becomes more driven, and if the market tightens up more, then the rents will rise and people will pay accordingly for what they're looking for.
No, mainly because we take a proactive approach to potential problems. If we see something, we take a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach, and we found that that's certainly where the magic happens with preventing such disasters.
I think it really comes down to your principles, your practices, how you've communicated with people. If you've been upfront and communicated right the way through, you'll have a minimal amount of issues.
Well, this month's Your Suburb, we've come here to the City of Stirling, which is undergoing a complete transformation. With a thriving population fast approaching 200,000, it's already got a vibrant community feel with great access to beaches, retail shops and stunning reserves. But what's really exciting is that the area is earmarked to become a truly sustainable 21st century city by 2031. A project backed by private and government alliance. The plan aims to attract thousands more residents to the city and to be as self-sufficient as possible in providing for its community's needs. There are 3 key factors to the plan. A green corridor will be the core of the city, offering outstanding community facilities and open space. A waterway designed to cleanse the water before it enters Herdsman Lake will run from north to south of the area. And a more integrated public transport will be introduced to encourage the population out of their cars. These, together with 6 distinctively different precincts, will create a cohesive and dynamic city centre. Incorporated in these plans, of course, is Innaloo, just 9 kilometres from Perth CBD. Now, if you think Innaloo, you probably think cinema, Bunnings, fast food outlets, Scarborough Beach Road factory outlets, and yes, you'd be right. So, is it all shops and fast food chains, or is there a more peaceful side to Innaloo? Jodie Darlington has lived here for 12 years. So is it all shopping centres and fast food outlets?
No, it's not. There are a lot of those though here, but in saying that, we did move here for the location. We've got the beach around the corner, we've got schooling, private public, and we've got great access to the freeway and public transport. Innaloo's come a long way in the last, I would say at least 10 years in terms of housing, dynamics, people living here. There's still a lot of development, but I think in saying that, it's still affordable.
What about the name? Do people make fun of the name, Innaloo?
They do, yeah, they do. It's more your people that live over east, when they say, can I have your address? And you say Innaloo, and they go, Innaloo? And they laugh, and so, you know, we have a good giggle.
Now, if you think Innaloo is a rather strange choice of name, you should know it used to be called Noogamburra, coming from the Aboriginal name for Herdsman Lake. This name, though, is too difficult to pronounce, let alone spell, so in 1927, the suburb became Innaloo. The majority of the land here was used for grazing until the 1940s, when extensive development began. Property here in Innaloo is a mix of World War II housing stock, townhouses, new developments and duplexes. The feeling is things are happening. The average house price in Innaloo is $590,000. Growth rates last year were 10.8%. That's 2% higher than the whole Perth metro region. And with huge development on its way for the City of Stirling, investment in Innaloo must surely be a good move. I hope you enjoyed this month's Rewa.com TV show. And if you have any comments, we'd love to hear from you.
Next month in Your News, we'll be looking at the latest quarterly property data.
We'll be catching up with more agents and also focusing on the newly opened Claremont Quarter.
But for now, thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.